fashion lovers, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the steps that I take each of my clients through when starting their fashion line and getting their perfect prototype made, as you can see here. So, the big question I always get, even from a lead call or a client after they've signed up, is how do I get started? And they find that a lot of times, even making that first connection call to me, they struggle with, because a lot of them say things like, well, I don't know how to sketch. How do I translate my vision to you so that you can physically put it down on paper? So no need to worry. What I tell them is it can be a combination of things because we get inspired from all different things. A lot of times a client will be starting a product because they'll see that there's a void out there in the marketplace. They might say to me, well, I don't have an example of the product that I'm trying to do. Well, listen, it's all been done before. Maybe what you want to do is a better version of something that's already existing. So what I'll tell my clients is either gather up a bunch of different, we call them counter samples. That's basically a retail sample with a tag on it, or not a tag. Maybe it's something in your closet that you love how it fits, but you just wish it had something a little bit different to it to make it better. So I'll say to them, grab a bunch of these counter samples, retail samples, pieces that you have in your closet, and grab ones where you like a detail from all of them. For example, the crew neckline of this, maybe you like that. Maybe you like how the sleeve is tapered on another shirt. Perhaps you like the fit of a certain pant you have, but you want it in another style. So what I'll tell them is gather up all those elements, and then we'll sit and we'll discuss each detail that you like. And then even if you have a rough sketch of something you like, we can talk through those as well. Also, another thing that works really well is tear sheets. Come up with a mood board, grab images off the internet, start a Pinterest board. That's super helpful with a bunch of images of styles that you like. Sometimes it helps with the first meeting with me to do a Pinterest board and be like, this is the vibe of the brand, and it really helps me help the client with the branding and the overall vision. So that's step number one. Gather up your resources so that we can take you to the next step, which is creating a technical flat sketch. This is an industry standard flat sketch. And why do we call it a flat sketch? Because a flat sketch is how the garment would actually look if it's laid flat front and back. And the reason this is so important, I would call it the blueprint, like an architect would, have a blueprint for a house. It's the blueprint of your design. Because then with this, I will take the flat sketch once the client approves it, and from there, I'll mark out each detail. How long is the sleeve? How wide is the neckline? How low does the V-neck drop? Once your tech pack is done, which literally has each measurement, each call out, each design detail of the garment, how long this drawstring should be, how long it'll be when it's tied, down to every little detail. After that tech pack is done, I pass it to my pattern maker, and she then creates the paper pattern. What is a paper pattern? I would call this the puzzle piece to getting your garment made. I'm gonna try to hold it up here. So a pattern, it's an actual cutout, a lot of times on blue dot paper, physical cutout piece of your garment. So this is the front piece of this shirt here that I did for the client. You can see this front piece here of the raglan is the actual, has the V-neck. So what we do with this paper pattern is my sample maker, and then when you get to factory level, because this enables you to mass produce your product, gets laid out over the fabric. You see the fabric behind there? It gets laid out over the fabric and cut around. This is so important. Why? Because you don't want uneven edges of your style. You don't want one side longer than the other. We don't just, blindly cut the shape of a shirt out. We have to have the perfect blueprint to make that happen. So those are 3 very important steps: the sketch, the tech pack, getting your paper pattern done. So here's a book on, actually, in college. It's called Apparel Through the Flat Pattern. This was not one of my favorite courses in fashion design school. You literally have to learn how to do each type of garment and create a pattern. Super technical, super difficult, and I've learned if you don't have a good pattern maker, you're gonna have an ill-fitting product out the door. Thankfully, I have a really, really skilled sample maker. So, after your pattern is done, or sometimes before, I will sit down with my client, and at that point, we'll decide on fabrics. All these different fabric cards. So many options. They get overwhelmed most of the time. What I'll do is I'll help the client go through the fabric versus the design and what types of fabric will work best for their customer and what they're trying to accomplish with their design. For example, this is a stretchy fabric. This is a women's fishing collection. Okay, it needs to have UPF rating. It needs to be stretchy so that they can actually do their sport. Okay, it has anti-wicking properties, dry quick features, things like that. A lot of times clients will come to me and they'll know that they want those sort of features on their garments, so we'll narrow down the options. After that, here's the fun part, and here's what everyone's always super, super anxious is, when am I gonna get my prototype? Once these first steps have been done, which usually takes about 3 weeks to get to the paper pattern, then it takes about another week to 2 weeks to get the physical prototype made. Here's the prototypes. You can see it doesn't have any of the labeling at this point. Why is it important to have a prototype? Well, you need to be able to wear test it, put it on a fit model, make sure the fit is correct, wash it, in this case, physically go out and do the sport in it and make sure that it does what you're gonna be selling it to do. So important to get your first prototype on point. So there you have it, how to get your first fashion prototype created. And guess what? You don't have to go to school for it. You just have to bring me your vision and we work together to co-create your fashion business. So please follow me, like, click and subscribe so you can get notified of my future uploads. Have a great day, guys. Stay inspired.